New York Times publisher Arthur A.G. Sulzberger complaining to President Trump about the potential for violence against journalists. It appears his paper and the rest of the national left-wing media aren't interested in actual violence like you're seeing here against supporters of President Trump. The hypothetical and the real, not under discussion by Sulzberger. Just last week, a U.S. Marine was assaulted in Hollywood by left-wing attackers because he was wearing his Trump jersey and a USA hat. Joining us tonight, Harmeet Dhillon, Republican National Committee woman for California. Great to have you with us. Mark Simone, radio personality for New York's WOR. Great to have you both with us. And let's just start with, Harmeet, your reaction to a scion of the Sulzberger family, the Times dynasty, holding forth about, I could almost see him reaching for his snuff box as he said, I'm concerned about the potential for violence against journalists in all of this, Mr. President.
These guys are totally out of touch. The crocodile tears from the media should be juxtaposed against the fact that they do spout lies and slanted stories all day long. I mean, 90% of the stories about our president are negative. A Gallup poll earlier this year showed that nearly half of Americans don't trust the media and can't name an unbiased source. And so, in this backdrop, the only violence that's happening here on the national stage is members of Congress and now a senator encouraging violence against Trump supporters. We're actually seeing that happen. I mean, I have a lawsuit here against San Jose for violence against Trump supporters in 2016. Right. So, and they're not reporting on that. They're reporting on their own, sort of navel-gazing concerns, which are not what most Americans are concerned about.
Yeah, agitprop for the most part. Your thoughts, Mark?
I thought it was the most ridiculous meeting. He was so naive. He actually said to the president at one point, I've had to put armed guards in front of my building. And the president said, you didn't have armed guards before? Every building in New York has armed guards. How could you be operating without armed guards on a major skyscraper in New York?
Well, let's see. The registration is about 7-1 Democrat in Manhattan. So maybe he felt himself.
I love the name, A.G. Swampburger. It's just perfect.
Well done, as usual, Mark. Let's take this this business with the rhinos that the president is really dealing with. He said he was talking to Dems, but you could see he was being inclusive. Harmeet, he was talking about the rhinos as well, particularly who reside in the speakership and in the leader's office, the majority leader's office in the Senate, when he said he's going to shut down the government if he doesn't get his wall, which he promised to the American people, his supporters, and which he has made clear all along. And where were they denying this during the campaign? They were just enjoying the benefits, I believe. Your thoughts?
Yes, Lou, for 8 years, almost every member of Congress in our party has campaigned on this issue of border security and tightening up our immigration system. They raise money off of it. We got emails about it. And then when push comes to shove, they're nowhere to be seen. In fact, they're actively undermining the president's agenda. There's not just this issue. We saw it with Obamacare and some other issues as well. And so I've heard it said on this network, and I agree that I think with 100 days left to go, we really need a leader of the Congress there who's going to lead the forces and sort of do what they promised and not be a lame duck who's kind of looking to his next job. It's really disappointing what I see from my party on this.
On cue with our crack production staff, upcoming pictures of McConnell, Mark, and Ryan. What hope do you hold that they would in any way be interested in the middle class, working men and women and their families, and the sovereignty and security of the country? 300
million people. And these two is who we ended up with. You wrote a great book, A War on the Middle Class, years ago. Right. And you were absolutely right. The war this is World War II now on the middle class.
I said right. I mean, thank you.
Well, no, it was a great book. And it's an ongoing problem. And that border is wide open, not due to laziness or sloppiness. It's deliberate. All those special interests from the Business Roundtable to whoever are working with these two snakes in the swamp to keep that wide open.
To Mark's point, Harmeet, the Koch brothers, I mean, attacking really, not Donald Trump, even though that's what their network is doing, putting up $400 million to run against in this next cycle, to run against Republicans who don't obey the mighty and the wealthy and the powerful Koch brothers. it is just so stunning to see them carrying out class warfare, because that's what they're doing. They're attacking working men and women, their families, and the American middle class as sure as anything. How can the Republican Party let them get away with it?
Well, for one thing, they're actually having it both ways, Lou. A lot of the Koch industrial complex is surrounding the president. There are a lot of the lawyers in the administration are people who are tied to the Kochs in some way or the other.
Oh, yes.
They have their fingers everywhere. I mean, in the White House, you got lawyers who are tied to that. And so they have it both ways. You're absolutely correct. In California, we see this more than any other state. Well, I mean, yes, you're correct. And so here in California, we see that, it's the big business interests who are pushing to keep the immigration problem from being solved, both at the low-income level with agricultural workers and at the highest level with tech workers in Silicon Valley. So
and by the way, that
our
part
party
hasn't
needs
changed
to stand firm.
in 40 years.
Yeah.
All about labor.
No, it's the same.
And the growers, Western Growers
Yeah.
Association, and on it goes.
There's a deep state. We got to remember there's a deep swamp, too.
Absolutely. And
that's
armed
right.
and dangerous.
That's right.
Mark Simone, Harmeet Dhillon, thank you both. Appreciate it. Come back soon.
My pleasure.
Up next, remember when